College football's almost here. We're talking week zero action. Florida Gators, Miami Hurricanes. He's Ian Cameron on Twitter at Babano. I am Drew Martin on Twitter at Drew Martin Bets. Looking at SBR odds right now, Ian, we got the Florida Gators laying -7, total of 50.5 right now, kicking off August 24th, 7 p.m. Eastern time on ESPN. What are you thinking here for the first college football game of the year?
Well, certainly for these two teams, Drew, it's no waiting for the season to get going. It's a good opponent to test you right away in your very first game. And for the Florida Gators, it was a much improved season last year under Dan Mullen. And Felipe Franks, the starting quarterback, returning again for the Gators this year. Big part of that improvement. He improved as a quarterback. He had gotten a lot of scrutiny, a lot of criticism for bad decisions, erratic throwing of the football, inaccurate at times, had too many bad decisions, interceptions 2 years ago. Really cleaned that up last year, was much more secure with the football, and had a much better season for this Florida offense. We'll see if he's able to carry that over. Obviously, the Gators hoping that's the case. Four offensive line starters from last year's Florida's Gators team departing. So we'll have to see if they are able to still be able to provide that adequate pass protection up front for Franks. The defense, there shouldn't be many problems there. A loaded Florida Gators defense coming into the season, which could pose problems, Drew, here for this Miami Hurricanes offense. As of right now, we're not 100% sure who their starting quarterback is going to be. N'Kosi Perry or Tate Martell, who is the Ohio State transfer, are the two likely candidates to be the starter for that job. But, offensive coordinator change with Dan Enos coming in, Manny Diaz taking over as the head coach. So there are some moving parts on that offense, and you're going to have to go up against a very good SEC defense in the Florida Gators. However, on the defensive side of the football, we know that in the Mark Richt era, quarterback play was a problem. Consistency offensively was a problem. Playing defense wasn't. Forcing turnovers wasn't. Miami's defense was very good in that regard. Good against the run. Good at getting pressure on opposing quarterbacks from their front seven. And now going up against a Florida offensive line that does have to replace a few quality and key starters from that O-line of last year, could allow Miami's defense to do enough to keep them in this game. I still think it's a very, very difficult first game for Miami. I think Florida's further along right now. Laying seven's no bargain, but I would probably lean Florida right now in terms of the side in this game. More interested in the total and going under the 50.5. I think this is a game where we could see both of the defenses ahead of the offenses in this very first game of the season.
I'm with you, Ian, on this total. And you bring up the Miami side. I think their strength is in the front eight there. Miami's going to get after it up front. We did see it last year. And, of course, Diaz, first-year head coach here, proven defensive coordinator. He'll have his defense ready to play. And in this game one matchup up against the Florida Gators, their weakness, if they have one, is on the offensive line. Having to return all those guys, a quarterback in Felipe Franks who can run, but not necessarily known for his next level athletic ability. So I think that they can get after him, cause some trouble for the Gators offense. However, Gators offense, Dan Mullen, his second year, same quarterback, tends to be a positive. So as the season goes on, I would look for the Florida Gators to have improvement. But week one, I could see him being up against it here, against this Miami Hurricanes defense. Ian, throw it to you real quick on season win totals. We got the Florida Gators at 9 and the Miami Hurricanes at 8.5. Looking down the year at both of these teams, do either of those season win totals kind of tickle your fancy in one way or another?
Didn't really have much interest in either of these win totals. I think from a Miami offensive perspective, with Dan Enos as the offensive coordinator, I think that's a good hire. I think over the course of the season, this group could become quite good and be actually a solid offense. It's just in the very first game of the season up against a defense the caliber of the Florida Gators, you may not see that offense lighted up in the first game of the season.
Yeah, so Ian Cameron and myself both leaning towards the under of 50.5 right now. Guys, make sure to stay tuned to the SBR YouTube channel. We got more week one, week zero college football action coming to you.